So can somebody please show me where in the Constitution it states that Trump has the right to go over to Iran and take out these nuclear facilities? Show me in the Constitution where it requires us to have a two-party system, Republican-Democrat. It's not in there. It's not in there, folks. The purpose of the president is to protect the homeland and oversee, call it the armed forces when needed, but oversee the day-to-day functions of the general government. Veto legislation. And George Washington warned about this. He warned about this. But it was funny to come home from the overnight shift today, turn on the TV, and hear the John Williams score, NBC News, ABC News, the runaway media. U.S. versus Iran, World War III. Whatever the score is they use. But nowhere in the Constitution does it require us to get involved in these foreign conflicts or to spread democracy across the globe. But George Washington was right. He was 100% right. He warned against political factions, warned against foreign entanglements. And if you want to stop what's going on with Israel and Iran, then you get the heads of these two countries on the phone. You say, hey, you guys need to get along or we ain't doing business with you. Period. That means no immigration to our country from your country, no trade, no financial aid. You're on your own until you learn to get along. This isn't hard to figure out, folks. Well, this isn't 1776 and Iran has got nuclear weapons. I don't care if they're sitting on a stockpile. I don't care if they've got the keys to Fort Knox. The fact is, we have no business getting involved in this conflict with Israel and Iran. Let them duke it out. If they want to kill each other off, let them kill each other off. But it was funny to come home from the overnight shift and see the runaway media and people on NBC, ABC, J.D. Vance, looking like a mind-numb robot. And I've got nothing against J.D. Vance, nothing against Trump. But we're at this point because we believe in Republican-Democrat. Because we believe that for some odd reason, it's our responsibility to spread democracy across the globe and be the policeman of the world, when there's nothing in the Constitution that requires us to do so. But you see, these people in Washington, D.C., they're too damn lazy to get off their fat asses and actually do something to make this a better country. Well, we're actually a federal republic. They're too damn lazy to get off their behind to give these nations a what for and say, hey, cut it out or we ain't doing business with you. No, we can't do that because there's too much money involved, you see. Exactly what George Washington warned about. So I'll share with you some excerpts from his farewell address. And I believe in those days, you didn't stand before a crowd and give your farewell address. It was usually written in a letter format of some kind. But here are the headlines that are out there about this. Pardon me. So CNN, live updates. Trump claims U.S. obliterated Iran's nuclear sites at Tehran and warns of blah, 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 blah. Reuters, U.S. warns against Iran retaliation as Trump raises regime change. ABC, we had the John Williams score this morning. FBI DHS host call with governors over U.S. threat environment after Iran strikes. But we shouldn't be getting involved with this to begin with. Let these people in the Middle East duke it out. And I've got nothing against anybody from any of these countries over there. We have a lot of great immigrants that come from that part of the world. They've been very influential in this thing called the United States, who have added to the culture, who have done great things in areas of business and sports and entertainment, in government. But our main focus should be our own backyard. Number one priority. Yeah, you sound like America first, you MAGA. You white supremacist MAGA. Immigrant hater. And what's going on with these LA riots? Notice how that's not in the news? So let's get to Washington's address here, his farewell address. As I said, I'm just going to read you some excerpts from it because it is quite lengthy. This is over at Yale's site, their Avalon Project site. Great website if you haven't been to it. You can check out things like the Confederate Constitution, U.S. Constitution, George Washington's farewell address. I think they even had Leland Stanford's address from the State of the State address in, well, State of the State speech in 1862. Where he calls the Asians an inferior race. Sounds like he's channeling the Cornerstone speech. But a lot of it's a dense read because of the language that we used at the time. So let's get to this. George Washington is talking about political parties, warning against them. Let me find that part here. It is an opinion that parties in free countries are useful checks upon the administration of the government and serve to keep alive the spirit of liberty. This, within certain limits, is probably true, and in governments of a monarchical caste, patriotism may look with indulgence, if not with favor, upon the spirit of party. But in those of the popular character and governments purely elective, it is a spirit not to be encouraged. So he's saying, don't do this. Don't put yourself in these camps. From their natural tendency, it is certain there will always be enough of that spirit for every salutary purpose. And there being constant danger of excess, the effort ought to be by force of public opinion to mitigate and assuage it. A fire not to be quenched, it demands a uniform vigilance to prevent its bursting into a flame, lest instead of warming, it should consume. And we're seeing that play out now. I don't think these people in Washington, D.C., Republican and Democrat, can think with a level head without thinking about their party first. For 2 seconds, could you put the politics behind you and just use common sense to figure things out? That would be really refreshing. It'd be really refreshing for somebody, at least in Washington, D.C., to come out and say, you know what, you Republicans, you Democrats, all you people in D.C., you're full of crap and you know it. That would be really refreshing. I'm going to tell you the real deal. We need somebody like that. Now, Trump does that to a certain extent, but again, he's run on a Republican ticket. Why didn't he just run as an independent? He should have said, screw these two parties. You know what I stand for, vote for me. It is important, likewise, that the habits of thinking in a free country should inspire caution in those entrusted with its administration to confine themselves within their respective constitutional spheres, avoiding in the exercise of the powers of one department to encroach upon another. Observe good faith and justice towards all nations, cultivate peace and harmony with all. He's talking about foreign relations here. Religion and morality enjoin this conduct, and can it be that good policy does not equally enjoin it? It will be worthy of a free, enlightened, and at no distant period, a great nation to give to mankind the magnanimous and too novel example of a people, always guided by an exalted justice and benevolence. Boy, they really used long sentences back in the day, didn't they? So we should have good faith towards other nations. justice towards other nations. We shouldn't do anything to harm other nations. We should be trading at an arm's length, trying to cultivate peace and harmony, as he says here. In the execution of such a plan, nothing is more essential than the permanent inveterate antipathies against particular nations and passionate attachments for others should be excluded, and that in place of them, just and amicable feelings towards all should be cultivated. The nation which indulges towards another habitual hatred or habitual fondness is in some degree a slave. So we make ourselves a slave when we get involved with these foreign conflicts and we feel like we have to give money to Israel or we have to appease Iran. We shouldn't have to do that. We should say, we're the United States. This is how we do things. If you don't like it, go do business somewhere else. Well, you can't do that, you see, because that's incentive. I don't care if it's insensitive. I care about what's going on in my own backyard. He goes on to say, it is a slave to its animosity or to its affection, either of which is sufficient to lead it astray from its duty and its interest. Antipathy in one nation against another disposes each more readily to offer insult and injury, to lay hold of slight causes of umbrage, and to be haughty and intractable when accidental or trifling occasions of dispute occur. Hence frequent collisions, obstinate, envenomed, and bloody contest. The nation, prompted by ill will and resentment, sometimes impels to war the government, contrary to the best calculations of policy. So we should not be getting involved with these foreign conflicts. We should not be having these political factions. Support whatever candidate you want. But drop the R and the D behind your name. Don't be a mind-numb robot. Go on TV like J.D. Vance did today and just read from a script. Give it to us straight. Focus on the homeland first. You do that, bring everything back to the states, as I've said before, nix DC and get rid of these political parties. You're going to solve 95% of the problems that we've had in this thing called the United States. Guaranteed. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know what to do. You can follow me at Instagram, #JasonComposes, because I write music in my spare time. Go to X, Culture Confederacy, Culture Confed 1 on X. Now you can find me at Substack. This is the Culture Confederacy saying peace out, stay safe, everybody. And thank you again for watching, subscribing, and being a part of this thing called the Culture Confederacy. I'll catch you next time. Take care.